Question number 8, test 3. We read the paragraph. Now we read the question. So according to the text, how did researchers determine the level of surprise displayed by the cats? And so I think it's right here. By measuring the cat's level of surprise based on their ear and head movements. Okay, so which answer tells me that? Well, answer A. They watched how each cat moved its ear and head. Wow. Very uncharacteristic of SAT to literally almost give us a copy-paste answer. Not used to this, right? So answer B, right? They examined how each cat reacted to a voice of a stranger, but actually, if you go through the paragraph, you're going to find that they talked about owners' voices. It wasn't a stranger. They studied how a cat physically interacted with its owner up topic because they had a speaker, right? So there was no interaction here. And then answer D, they tracked how each cat moved around the room. This is too broad, right? It's how they moved their ears and head, not just general movements. Question number 9. So we read the paragraph. What is the main idea of the text? So one thing about non-fictional texts or informative texts, you're going to find the main idea either in the topic sentence or in the concluding sentences, especially the concluding sentence. And so if you read through, you're going to find that book that we're talking about, the travel notes of a Geechee girl, right, is her most influential project. And then in the end, it is long admired by many. The book and this author have shaped contemporary approaches to writing about cuisine. Wow. So it's the most influential project. It shaped how others write their books. The best answer here would be answer A. Right. I'm going to write, the unconventional book is an important contribution to food writing. So how do we know this? Well, because it's influential. It is long admired. It is a shaped writing. Okay. Answer B. SG held many different positions over her life, including reporter and food writer. This is off topic to the passage. Answer C. SG's groundbreaking book didn't receive praise it deserved when it was published. Although this is true, well, actually, no, it's not true. It's not mentioned, right? Answer D, SG was a talented chef whose work inspired many people to start cooking for themselves. Well, how do we know inspired people to start cooking for themselves? What did it do? It inspired people to change their approach to writing about cuisine. But to inspire people to cook for themselves, well, this isn't really explicitly stated. Although it might logically make sense, it needs to be stated with evidence in the text. And so answer A, we have evidence here in the beginning and here in the end as stated in the topic and concluding sentences. First, unpack the text. Make sure you understand what you're looking for. And so in this text, we're looking for Alexandra Bergson, who takes comfort in understanding the world around her. Well, our answer needs to say this. Our answer needs to explicitly state this information. If not, then more than likely your answer is wrong. Now, I won't go through all of these answer choices A, B, and C because none of them show us, now remember, none of them show us nor tell us that she finds comfort. The best answer is answer D. So what I want you guys to do is, well, first of all, we unpack the information, we identify what we need, comfort in the world around her. And so answer D does this. And how does answer D do this? Let me zoom in for you guys on answer D, and you're going to find here in answer D, it's talking about the natural world around her. It's talking about the glittering night sky, and she loves to think of them in their vastness, and her thinking about the operations of nature make her feel personal security. So this personal security obviously does indicate a degree of comfort that Alexandra feels from nature. Which one logically completes the text? So we've already read the passage and the question. Let me put some pieces together before we check the answer choices, right? So it talks about artworks and it depicts a female figure fishing with Cupid nearby. Okay, so some scholars believe that this figure was Venus. And why did they think it was Venus? Because she was linked with Cupids in Roman culture. Okay, but notice the shift here, but that's important. So now we have some important information. The university professors Carrie Brain suggests that Cupids are also associated with fishing. Okay. So that means, well, think about it now. So now you're saying, well, if this plus this is true, this plus this can also be true. So the focus here is about Cupid. And so Cupid is found with or is related to fishing. And also Cupid is related to Venus. It's related to both of these. So the Cupid near the female figure, well, it doesn't mean that female figure is Venus. It is not conclusive evidence. Pay attention to the wording. So conclusive evidence means something that is 100%. Idea number one, well, Cupid around a female figure, that means that's Venus. So idea number one. However, idea number two, Cupid can also mean fishing, and the woman is fishing, right? Or something, if I can remember correctly. And the female figure is fishing. See that? So there's some ambiguity there. Look at answer B. Suggested Venus was often depicted fishing. I mean, but the focus of the text is about Cupid. It's actually not about fishing. The focus of the text is Cupid and how Cupid can, around a female figure, can represent Venus or can also represent fishing. The figure was a female that was fishing, or a female who was fishing. So we wouldn't know whether or not this female figure is Venus because of Cupid, or this female figure is just fishing because of Cupid. So answer C eliminates the possibility that the figure is Venus. Well, again, it's a 50-50 shot, right? And answer D would be difficult to account for if the figure was not Venus. I mean, not really, because Cupid is already accounted for, right? That's not the issue. The issue is whether or not this female fishing is Venus or not. Question number 12. So we already read the text, which logically concludes. Okay, well, if you read through the text, it talks about judges, right? Or judicial opinions that judges make. And so these judges base these rulings or cite these rulings or cite, where they got their ruling from by historical and contemporary philosophers. Well, legal scholar, and well, she says these judges, they're naturally wild. Now notice the contrast here. Why? This is really important information. So while they are naturally inclined to cite philosophers that align with their views, the strongest judicial opinions also rebut philosophers, or also, rebut, right? Philosophers who go against their views. So right now, if I make a judgment, I want you to think about it now. So I'm a judge, I'm just, chilling, and I make a judgment. And so if I just cite from philosophers in historical contexts that support my view, it's a judgment, it's cool, it's acceptable. However, if I not only cite philosophers that align with my view, and also at the same time rebut or go against those who object my view, how would that come out in my judgment, or how would that appear in my judgment? It would make my judgment stronger, because now you're removing all weaknesses from your judgment. So answer B was the best one. It helps judges improve the arguments they put forward. Because again, if you understand what's being said, you put the pieces together. I have a judgment. I usually cite historical context that align with my views. But if there's objections to that from other philosophers, and I also say why those objections are wrong, this makes my position stronger. Just like any argument, right? It's like a concession. So if you're making an argument or a persuasive essay, and in your persuasive essay, you have your claim. And as you guys know, in my persuasive essay or my argumentative essay, if I also rebut those who say why I'm wrong, it makes it stronger. I like pizza. Pizza historically is great. Some people believe pizza is bad for your health. However, these people don't really know what they're talking about because pizza is made of cheese and olive oil, for example. So now you're taking how people view or why people would say your argument is wrong. You're saying why those people are wrong. And when you do this, it makes your judgment or your claim stronger. Now, with answer A, allow judges to craft opinions without consulting philosophical works. This goes against the passage because they do it. It's not, it contradicts the passage. Make judicial opinions more comprehensible to readers. I mean, it's not about the readers, though, it's about the judgment itself. Bring judicial opinions in line with views that are broadly held among philosophers. This is too broad, right? Because the judge usually aligns or chooses philosophers that meet their, political orientation. So, answer D, well, goes against this. They not only choose philosophers that go or support their opinions, they also explain why philosophers that go against their opinions are wrong. So again, with logical, how to logically conclude the text, it's important that you understand the idea. So for example, idea A tells me this. However, idea B tells me this. What can be my conclusion? What do I mean by this? It talks about William Shakespeare and how his tragedies appeal to today's audiences and tells us why these tragedies appeal to today's audiences. And then there's a shift in the text's ideas, but, right, understanding his plays can require centuries knowledge of English history. So you need to put these two ideas together, add them together, and then get an answer. So the tragedies are good because they appeal to today's peoples, right? Today's audiences. The plays are not good. Why? Because they require strong background knowledge. So what can we say? For example, people like tragedies more than they like plays. Why do people like tragedies? Because they appeal to broad themes. Why do people not like the plays? Because they require extensive background knowledge about Shakespeare's, English history, whatever it is. A, many theater goers and readers today are likely to find Shakespeare's history plays less engaging than the tragedies. This is true. Because in the beginning, people like the tragedies, they appeal to us. People don't like these plays because they require history. So therefore, we can assume that people prefer tragedies over the plays. Some people told me B, the tragedies are relevant to today's audiences than 20th century plays. Well, that can't be really supported in the text because the text doesn't tell us that, number one, we're not talking about 20th century plays. Number two, the text doesn't tell us that these 20th century plays are irrelevant. They just tell us that you need knowledge of English history. So answer B wouldn't work. C, Romeo and Juliet is most thematically accessible of all Shakespeare's tragedies. We don't know this either. We know people like the tragedies because they can relate to these tragedies. We don't know if Romeo and Juliet are the most accessible, the most comprehensible. And D, experts in English history tend to prefer Shakespeare's history plays with other works. We don't know this either, right? We don't know if, experts in English history prefer his history plays or his tragedies. So also when you're choosing an answer, you really need to make sure you connect these answers, right? And if you see these connections here, theater gurus prefer, they find the tragedies engaging, so they appeal to today's audiences. The plays are less engaging, and why? Because they require several centuries of history.